All right, everybody. Hello, welcome. You are here for Job Search Chess, how tech workers can win more interviews in 2025. It is Thursday, September 18th, and you are here for this webinar hosted by Albert's List. We're a job search, AI, and side hustle skills organization helping you become the most indispensable professional you can possibly be. And we're back here with another webinar with the great Nader Mulai, founder of Engineer Your Mission. Nader and I have been doing webinars really just since the beginning and end of the pandemic here, and he's back always with generously his time to share with you so many of the things that he has learned in the field when it comes to job hunting. And so if you're somebody who's lost in your job search, somebody who's wondering how you can get more interviews in this crazy, crazy job market, Nader has a treat for you. Just to get some things out of the way, if you would like to ask a question or just chat in general, use the webinar chat or the Q&A function. We're also recording this webinar, so you can expect a copy of it in your inbox if you have joined us via Eventbrite within 24 to 48 hours. Without further ado, Nader, over to you.
As always, thanks Albert for organizing this. Like you said, we've been doing this for about 5 years. A lot of success stories, a lot of good things I can tell you about my engagements with Albert and what he's done, what he's been building, and helping me build over the over the last 5 years together. For me personally, over the last almost 15 years, I think we're at 15. Well, September 12th. Yeah, we're at 15 years. Damn it, I forgot to celebrate my 15th year anniversary. I just realized that right now it's the 18th. Wow. Getting goosebumps literally telling you this. I'm just realizing yeah, thank you. Thank you for the cake. I mean, there's some tea to that cake. Yeah, I established literally getting full body goosebumps. But I established my business, like left the six-figure recruiting job, corporate recruiting at a massive company, Randstad. I was working in downtown Toronto. I remember the day I quit, it was the 12th of September. And then, yeah, I walked, if you know Toronto, I walked from like downtown Toronto all the way to Yonge and Eglinton. It was, I don't know, like a 2 hour walk. I was just static that I finally did it. I finally left this corporate, I'll just say it's scum, It's like recruiters, I don't think if anybody has a nice thing to say about recruiters. I don't know. Tell me if you have a nice thing to say about recruiters. But my soul had blackened over those 2 years. Mind you, within 2 years, I was the number one recruiter in the engineering and manufacturing division of Randstad within Central and Eastern Canada. Six offices, over 200 recruiters. Uh, why did I become that? What got me there? Definitely my background, my education in engineering, and my 4 years of experience working in the tech sector. So I was absolutely unique as a recruiter. And when I got to it, I just realized that, sure, I don't know how to find people, I don't know how to recruit, but 3 months into it, I got through all the training and realized that I don't like the way that these people are doing things. First of all, they're not following systems. They're just posting jobs online, see who applies to their ads, running the resumes through an applicant tracking systems, and just whoever comes on top, we're gonna call them in and go through their resumes and bring them in for an interview. And they were just looking for a reason to disqualify you. That's what recruiting 101 is. I've shared this many times. It's not a process based on identifying your qualifications. It's a process of elimination. It's like, okay, we're just going to go through these 200 resumes that we got. I want to call 10 of them for a phone interview, which means I have to eliminate 190 resumes. So the process was not to find the top 10 people, was to identify the bottom 190. Still to this day, I share this story because that's recruiting. That's recruiting 101. And when I go through a resume with an individual, I look at their applications, I look at their LinkedIn profile to give them feedback. I tell them this. I'm like, this is how you're being deselected, eliminated. Like this is not how, like, they're now going through your LinkedIn profile trying to see if you can be selected for an interview. They're just looking for one, two, three reasons to get rid of you, and they will. they will get rid of you in 5 seconds. That's why the average time someone looks at a resume is about 5 to 6 seconds, maybe 8 seconds. But if they're spending more than 10, 15 seconds on your resume, yeah, you've made it through. The thing is like it's extremely challenging for someone to spend for you to hold someone's attention for 10, 15 seconds on a resume. So just keep that in mind. A lot of you guys are here looking for a way to find employment faster, not realizing that there's stages to that, and that there's three clear stages to the job search process. And without clear goals, without clear targeting, you're just going to be in the wrong realm. Assuming you have the right goals, you've targeted the right company, the right role, you're not applying to jobs that you're overqualified for, you're not applying to the jobs you're underqualified for, then you have three distinct phases in front of you. You know, everything that happens before the interview, which is your personal branding, personal brand development, storytelling, story writing, resume writing, cover letter writing, writing the content of your LinkedIn profile. Most people, assuming they've picked the right job at the right company, they have clear goals. Most people get disqualified there. They get eliminated, kicked out of the hiring process or the recruitment funnel, as recruiters like to call it. They get kicked out right there and then. So they never make it to the interview. From the little bit, from the 10%, less than 10% that make it to the interview, most of those people get disqualified and they lose the first interview. That's what I call kind of like the screening call. It's really not an interview. It's just a quick test, 15, 20-minute call to just figure you out, see how you communicate, your level of confidence. It's just basically a quick assessment of your communication and behavior. Not even the behavioral skills. I'm not talking about behavioral interviews or situational interview questions. It's just like, who are you as a person? So I would replace the word behavior with confidence. So like what's the level of your self-confidence or arrogance on the other side? Things about your character, your behavior that can qualify or disqualify you, and how well you communicate. Like the average recruiter is trained on not believing a word you say on your resume. A lot of times, well, a percentage of times, 10, 15% of people, 20% of people traditionally had a resume writer, like a career coach write their resume. So it was written really well, but when you get on the phone with them, you have that initial 10-minute screening call, they do not sound like their resume, so you're getting kicked out. Nowadays, everybody uses AI, so resumes look really good. They sound really good, which makes it even way more difficult for the recruiter to disqualify you. So they're looking at a lot more, many more qualified resumes that look good on paper. But when they talk to that person on the phone, that person is just like, don't even know what's going on the resume. So it's a complete waste of the recruiter's time. And yeah, it's a waste of everybody's time, right? So recruiters tougher, recruiting and hiring is tougher because of that. So we want to get past all this at times, we want to get past all these phases, have clear targets, have, apply to the right job at the right company, have personalized resumes, good content, use AI as best as you possibly can, but also make sure that you're practicing and preparing for the interview, for that final stage, even getting past the recruiter, so you can speak to the resume, you can speak to your story, you can expand on the stories you told on your resume, on your cover letter. Long story short, what you're here for is that middle ground. So not the resume writing and personal branding and storytelling and stuff. That's not this training session. I'm assuming that you're doing an excellent job in that, or you're an excellent prompt engineer. You know how to use AI to do an excellent job at that, or you ditch out the money, you hire someone like me to do it for you. So we're assuming you've got the personal branding and storytelling, resume writing, cover letter writing. Yes, cover letter writing, full customization every single time. I'm assuming you got that covered, and I'm assuming you're practiced, you're prepared, you're well trained to perform in an interview. And the issue that you're here to solve is to get more interviews. That's what I call the job search chess. Used to call it the job search blueprint. You know, I know what I want. I have clear goals. I know which companies. I know which jobs. I have a good resume, good cover letter, good content on my LinkedIn. I got all that covered. I just need a better, more efficient, faster way, more proactive and direct way, a systematic way to land more interviews. That's what you're here today. And my goal is to give you a system, a three-step workflow, leveraging AI to do an excellent job at that, to make connections, have conversations with the right people at the companies you picked. But there's also that third phase, right? The third phase is your performance in an interview. So if you haven't ever done a mock interview with a total stranger, with someone who's trained, does this for a living, understand who you are, where you're coming from, what the expectations of employers in your market is. If you've never done a mock interview with that person, please get off your high horse and do a mock interview with someone who doesn't know you, isn't familiar with you, isn't your friend, isn't your partner, isn't willing to just tell you things that will make you happy. Someone who's willing to crush your ego and tell you how crappy you are at telling your story, how much of confidence do you lack. Someone who's not there to make you feel good, someone who's there who truly evaluates you, validates your communication, behavioral skills, and your ability to give confidence to that person who's interviewing you in order to reduce their perception of how risky it is to hire you. Hiring and interviewing in particular is a game of risk assessment. The more unsure you sound of yourself, the more risky you are. Cool? So I'm gonna chill out myself because I can get pretty excited talking about this stuff. I'll come off my high horse and let me share my screen and go through the training today because we're gonna have to sprint through this one today. You guys have another presentation coming up. Here we are. So let's see if the screen's up. Come on. There it is. Cool. So again, this is a Google Doc. The reason I've switched to Google Doc from a few months ago is like it's always available. If you attend one of these training sessions, you're always going to have access to it. We're on version 3 right now. Honestly, I've tried to make a fourth version. It's pretty damn good. I mean, we're 3 versions in. I ran everything with ChatGPT 5 last time. Last time we did this session, it was 1 week after ChatGPT 5 came out, and it's still good. It loves the prompting. It's a multi-step, it's a master prompt, it's a three-step, three master prompt workflow. So I can't even get it to be better without overcomplicating it. So this appears to be the third and final version of the job search masterclass. Uh, yeah, until further notice. The good thing is that if you've ever attended one of these presentations, you're always going to have access to this. And these 3 moves have always been the 3 moves you need to accelerate your job search process. So again, not the personal branding part, not the interview performance part, the middle part, the second phase of the job search, which is traditionally is taking that good resume, sending it online and just waiting forever, is like, what the hell is going to happen? Like we want to depart, move away from online applications because of their extreme low success rate, like less than 0.5% statistically speaking, and move towards a proactive, systematic, direct outreach process so that you can send the right message to the right person at the right company. And those are the 3 moves. What are the right companies? Who do I talk to? What do I say to them in that order? Cool. So stick with me. I'll go through this. I'll answer questions towards the end, but I think like that bit of that 15-minute introduction allowed you to understand what the real job market really looks like, how hiring is done, and what are the stages, the different phases, and what do you really need to do? What is to be done in order to get better results, faster results? So it's not just what you're going through right now. There's 2 other components to it: personal branding, interview performance, in order for you to get to their job offer. Cool. But with that said, this is your step-by-step guide. Stay with me, stick with me throughout the end. I'm aiming to finish this in the next 45 minutes, 50 minutes. At the end, you'll have a link to this presentation. You'll have obviously a video recording of this within the next 24 hours. Albert will provide you that. And there's a link to book one-on-one calls with me. If you have attended this presentation, which I would know because your name would be on the registrants and the attendee list that LinkedIn would send me, that Albert would send me. You will qualify, assuming you attend the one-on-one consultation, and I do also approve that you're a good fit for my coaching program. You do qualify for $1,000 discount, which the most, it's the highest amount of discount I've given to anyone. Last time it worked, a couple of people took advantage of it. Hopefully this time some people do too. Cool. So with that said, I've already told you why I built this system, so I won't bother you with this. We're gonna depart from O3, which is not available to anymore to ChatGPT 5 or Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro. Still, still my favorite, to be honest with you. ChatGPT 5 is great too, but I love Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro because I pay for it. I pay for Gemini, I pay for OpenAI's ChatGPT. With Gemini, it's so integrated into everything I do in my emails, in my Google Docs and everything. I can pull data from years ago in documents I had in my docs, in my sheets. That ChatGPT doesn't, you know. So again, anyways, long story short, you can use either of these two platforms or your favorite AI LLM of your choice. It doesn't really matter. This whole process should not take you more than 20 minutes. If you're spending more than 20 minutes, you are doing something wrong. After running this a couple of times, you should really be getting faster at it. Like 10 minutes, you should be done with finding 10 other employers, 10 other target companies, another set of hiring managers, another set of, another set of networking messages. I call it three message outreach sequence for another industry, for another location within 10 minutes. Because the goal here is that we save a lot of time. We get accurate data, accurate results, let the AI do the search for you through three different advanced prompting processes put together into a workflow, something that would take me a couple of hours. Like traditionally, I've been doing this for 15 years. Last 2 years, got into usage, leveraging LLMs. But traditionally, this was like a 2 hour session for me. I would have to sit down, set some goals for you, figure out what companies you've had success with, what do you like, and then I will have to go and do individual searches on LinkedIn, find out who the hiring managers are, cross-reference them, and then start building outreach messages for you. Now it's done for me. It's all done for me, you know? So as I normally always say in these presentations, soon you're not gonna need a career coach no more. And yeah, this is the system that's taking my job away, so to speak, right? So, hence the farm and the chickens that Albert was talking about. If I can retire into my farm and raise chickens in 4.5 years, I'll be a happy man. But a lot of us, if not all of us, are being affected with these systems. When ChatGPT 3.5 got out, I went through a little mini depression for 3 months. I actually took 3 months off because I was paralyzed. I thought I'd lost it and that was it. I wanted to get another job. Uh, but then I said, you know what? The hell with this. Let's start using it. Let's start embrace AI. So I had a lot of content around embrace AI and how I was kind of like reborn. If you can't beat them, join them, kind of speak. Uh, but yeah, if you do this, if you learn this, you're about to, you can save so much time and so much money not needing to hire a career coach no more, at least for the second phase of job search. Cool. With that said, I have lots of success stories to share with you. If you just go through my LinkedIn, 23 reviews on my service page. I have 5 video testimonials featured on top on my page. If you go all the way down, nearly a couple of hundred testimonials. I got 189 recommendation letters or messages here posted on LinkedIn. So just go through, open this list, and if you doubt anything that I'm telling you right now, go and read what others have experienced who have gone through this system or my coaching programs. Cool. So with that said, Spencer's story is pretty cool because he landed, if I remember correctly, like 2 interviews. Yeah, 2 interviews in a week and a job offer. He actually moved from US to Mexico. This is Spencer if you want to check him out. Uh, it's pretty cool because again, he was looking for this what do you call it? He was looking for such a unique scenario when he wanted to move out, he wanted to get a remote job. He also wanted to work for only a medical device company who offers remote jobs. So it was pretty interesting and unique when I said, you know what? Likely, if you just apply online, I can't seem to find his recommendation, but if you go back to my page, it's right here. This is Spencer. We should be able to click on this, but anyways, he had a very particular set of criteria that if you just look for those jobs online, there's no way you're gonna find something that perfectly matches all your criteria. So this is when I say, you know what, let's just pick the right companies, reach out to their IT managers or, technical program managers at the senior level, director level, head of project management, and tell them straight up what you're looking for. The economy's tough, things are changing. Your wife's Mexican. You want to move to Mexico. You want to work remotely. Bada bing, bada boom. Got the job within a few weeks, and that was it. Right? So that's the power of conversations. That's the power of making human to human connections. And Spencer's just one of those many that have gone through that process. Anyways, long story short, let's take a sip of water. Your first move, your opening move in order to identify and target those ideal employers for you is to define what it is. Like who they are, what industry, what sub-industry, what region, which product, which platform, which solution, which service, like what do they do, what do they sell, who buys it, what do those people who buy those services or solutions do with that service, with that offering, what happens at the end. Like that product life cycle, that journey you need to understand. And those are the details, and that's the context that we need to provide ChatGPT or Gemini or whoever is doing the search for you, even if it's traditionally a career coach who's going to sit down and do manual research for you to set clear goals and find companies. To find those companies, we need to go through answering a bunch of questions to clarify that journey with that product, solution, or service life cycle. Who makes it, who buys it, what do they do with it, what happens at the end. So the first prompt, I call it the interactive prompt or adaptive interactive prompt. Some people call it reverse prompting. If any of you have done some prompt engineering courses or trainings, this is definitely not a one shot. Well, it's going to look like a one-shot prompt, but it's not a one-shot prompt where you just give it one instruction, it spits out the results for you. Interactive means it's just basically going to start asking you questions to acquire intelligence, knowledge, details, information, context. So this is where context engineering becomes a lot more important than just prompt engineering. I'm taking care of the prompt part of it for you. Your job is to provide the context. The best way to gather context is through reverse prompting. So rather than me telling you what I want you to ask me questions in order to identify what I really want. That's the idea. That's the mindset behind it. So when we go through a prompt like this saying, hey, just act as my career research assistant. These are your qualifications. My role, so what I'll give you is my resume. I'll give you a summary of my LinkedIn profile content, which if any of you don't know how to do that, just go to your LinkedIn profile, go to resources, and go to save to PDF. It just grabs all the information you have on your LinkedIn profile, saves it into a PDF document. Then you can just upload that PDF document to your ChatGPT account, for example, to provide it that basic information. And uh, you know, I want you to ask me questions, figure out what I want. If I don't know the answers, I'll tell you I'm not sure, I don't know, and I want you to help me figure it out. And again, don't guess, don't exaggerate, just be real. Your task is to ask me again questions one at a time. Figure out my strengths, figure out my skills, figure out the role I'm targeting, what I'm open to, which industry, which technology, what is the role's impact, the work environment, the work setting. What are my goals? What are my constraints? Do I need a visa? Do I not? Like anything. What level am I at? Ask me anything necessary uh, that you need in order to perform this task successfully. Cool. Again, there's some instructions as well. So this is all part of the prompt. What you're going to do, you're going to just copy this whole thing, anything in green, and enter that, press enter into ChatGPT all at once. So it goes through the prompt, understand what the task is, what your role is, and ultimately what it's supposed to do, you know? So if relevant, focus on a specific size. If there's any industries you want to avoid, again, if you need sponsorship, if there's an area you're passionate about, one you want to go towards, one you want to avoid, you can obviously add specific things relevant to you personally or your industry to this and further optimize this prompt, but this covers a lot of it. The prompt itself actually is quite comprehensive, if not fully comprehensive. It's the context. Each and every one of you are his or her own context engineer when you run this prompt. Okay, so that's what I've been getting a few questions from where someone has, multiple, let's say, I'm getting results that are not relevant to me. I'm like, well, how did you answer these questions? It's like, oh, most of them I didn't know. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So let's try to figure out what you actually want so you can answer these questions. Fair enough. Long story short, the output you're going to get out of this first prompt is a table of 10 companies. Yeah, can you make it 15? Yeah, can you make it 20? Sure. Please don't go off over 20. Uh, in real life, it's rare you ever need to target more than 20 companies. 10 at a time is amazing. If you answer this question based on one specific industry, one specific niche, and then find 10 companies in it, that's plenty enough. Little side note, another question I got from the last presentation is like, oh, I'm getting, so many different companies. I'm like, well, how did you answer the question around the industries? It's like, well, I'm open to everything. It's like, oh, okay, big mistake. You should really be only targeting one industry. Within that industry, there has to be specific sub-industries. Like pick two sub-industries within that core industry. If you're just open to everything, falsely assuming that if you just keep your options open, you're gonna find opportunities faster, biggest lie ever told. I mean, who has that strategy worked for anyways for you to want to copy it? It just doesn't work, The shotgun approach has never worked for anybody. You want to be I hate to say a sniper, but based on what's been happening, but like you want to be laser targeted. I hate that, you know. But you want to pick one. You want to be, again, the definition of focus is to look at one thing. As soon as you have two things to look at, what happens to your eyes? Your eyes are gonna go weird. So pick one thing, especially if it's an industry. If it's technologies, three technologies that you're really good at, nothing more than that. If it's a product, one product category, no more than that. Just and run 10 companies that do that one thing really well. You know, Hyper personalize your target list, your company target list. So anyway, so you're not distracted. You're not getting a couple of companies from this industry and like, oh, two companies from this industry. It confuses you and it lowers your success rate. Long story short, the prompt has two other sections. Again, filter rules, pretty straightforward. You don't really need to even understand these things, although they're very easy to understand. Obviously, avoid companies that are laying off, shrinking, or freezing data. So it needs to look at pattern and articles. This is where you turn on that deep research option, the thinking option to make sure if that company has announced layoffs, yeah, get rid of that company. Don't Not interested. And then prioritize companies based on company headcount growth, based on hiring patterns, reset fund. This is all public information that ChatGPT 5 or Gemini 2.5 Pro has the access to search for. One thing I want to show you. So again, I'm writing. I was just working went away, but with Sunny targeting Illumina out of San Diego, biotech company. So if you guys don't know how to find hiring patterns, hiring data, LinkedIn tracks hiring data and headcount growth. It's under Insights. You do have to have a premium account to see this. So again, traditionally for 12, 13 years, it would have been every single company that you find, you have to look at, if they're publicly traded, what's their stock performance, what's their projections, if they're publicly funded, who's funding them, when's the last round of funding, kind of like the money related patterns. funding related patterns, or share value patterns. If moving on to hiring data, pretty much LinkedIn carries all that data. What are those patterns? What are monthly hiring numbers? What is happening per department that you're interested in? You can look at all these departments, and then based on this data, you either pick, select, or eliminate a company off your list. So long story short, all that is done for you. You don't need to do any of that. It's all done for you. Anyways, long story short, few more rules to follow. Ending with some bonus coaching tips. I always, because of my experience in tech and also in recruiting, I know one of the compliments I always get is like, "Oh, what you're telling me is really uncommon. You give some rare advice, like rare insights." I'm like, it's not really rare. You probably haven't talked to someone who's worked in tech, who's done the tech work, and then did a decade of recruiting, and then got into coaching. So I have three different combination of experiences that together allows me to fully comprehend what's happening, you know, uh, get over the, BS advice, tell you what's BS and what's not, and just telling you as it is. And this is my attempt of kind of like duplicating myself, cloning that kind of like uncommon rare advice through ChatGPT's insights. It actually does a pretty good job at it. Uh, anyways, lovely first prompt. With that said, let me take a sip of water. You have a target company. So let's say you're working in around San Diego, you have a medical device, biotech, life sciences type of company experience, and assuming Illumina becomes a company on your list, now their hiring patterns don't look so great. Let's look at Thermo Fisher. Let's look at how Thermo Fisher is doing. Okay, that's better, So last 2 years, they've grown by 9%. Last 6 months, they've grown headcount by 2%. If you look at different departments, how are they doing? Let's take a look at all departments. Again, if you're doing this manually, I'm showing this to you manually so you understand. Very minimal. I mean, human resource, anybody in HR is getting killed by AI. Anybody in marketing is getting killed by AI. Accounting, same thing, but they're actually doing well in accounting. Certain departments are getting destroyed, by AI tools. Assuming you're in tech, you're in research, you're in IT, you're in engineering, you know, overall, this looks good, over the last year, if you look at, except one, which is product management. Every department is growing at headcount, generally positive, decent growth for a company that has nearly 100,000 employees. If you look at monthly hires, 2 years of consistent monthly hires. I mean, this company is hiring over 1,000 people a month. Just think about that. Divide that by 30 days. Imagine how many job offers this company is extending out every day. I mean, these are only the ones that actually updated their LinkedIn profile. Sure, not everybody has LinkedIn. Not everybody updates their LinkedIn profile when they have a new job. So, minimum this month, in the last 18 days, 826 people, five of them being in senior management, have said they got a new job at Thermo Fisher Scientific. So yeah, don't tell me so much that the job market is doing bad. Yeah, the job market is doing bad, but is Thermo Fisher doing bad? Hell no. So it's not about the job market, it's about the business you pick. If there's 100 businesses out there, yeah, 80 of them may be just doing terrible. Out of the remaining 20, 10 are doing okay, 10 are doing great. You should target the 10 that are doing great. You know what I mean? So, I know there's a lot of negativity around the job market, and that's fair if you're looking at the grand scheme of things, the macro picture, or the survey that everybody answered today. It's like, oh, everybody says the job market's shit. Yeah, the macro picture is shit, but if you're looking at specific companies, and we're just picking at two, if you look at Roche, check this out. Over 100,000 employees doing well. I know Roche is doing well too. Consistent hiring numbers, over 1,000 people every month. So It's not the job market, it's the company, it's the business you're targeting. Okay. Handpick business and you'll be fine. If you handpick 10 companies that all have positive growth, good money, good stock market performance, then your job market within your bubble of 10 companies is amazing, right? So from that perspective, the job market is doing amazing. Cool. So let's move on. So we found 10 awesome companies. Let's find five awesome decision makers per company. So five times 10, that's 50 awesome hiring managers, decision makers in those companies, right? Hiring managers that are growing due to like the hiring due to growth, so we're just doing well. A company's growing. We're landing more customers. We're selling more products. Stock market's doing well. We got more funding. We just need another product manager. We just need another, software engineer or whatever. We're growing. We need one more person. That's an opportunity for a new vacancy, for a new job. Or unfortunately, we lost someone. We're growing. People are changing. People are moving our company. Someone just left. We need to replace that person. That's another job created. Or we're promoting internally, which is another great, opportunity, another great situation. This person got a new job. We need to replace him or her. So there's three different scenarios how a job is created. So at that point, it's the hiring manager, there are decision makers who are responsible for replacing that person or responsible for filling that vacancy. It's a big problem to have. Human headcount problems is like one of the biggest problems in a company. So if you're reaching out to someone like that proactively on LinkedIn, let's say you're a software engineer or whatever, you're a product manager, and you're reaching out to a member of the hiring team. So let's say a director of product management. That person literally will thank you because they're actually looking for a product manager and you just happen to have found them and you're contacting them like holy shit, how crazy is that, hallelujah, they're like how interesting that I'm looking for a product manager and someone who used to work at Genentech, someone who used to work at Illumina, a company that's not too far from us, is contacting me and is interested in an opportunity at our company, right? So you see, we have a list of those product directors. We're just a step away from connecting with them with the right message. That's what accelerates your success to that interview, and hopefully you're well prepared to perform in the interview to get the job offer, right? But to get this interview, we need to first find the right person. We have the right company, we need to find the right person, and that's where the second prompt comes in. The prompt structure is the same. Your job is to interact with it to provide the context. So again, this is the ChatGPT's role. That person is your LinkedIn and org chart expert. Their skill sets, their qualifications are job search mastery, job search projections, economic pattern recognition. They have deep knowledge of functional organizational structures. Working across internal teams, they have the ability to identify real decision makers using LinkedIn fingers, LinkedIn filters, public org patterns, title logic, so pretty straightforward. I don't need to read through everything word by word. LinkedIn fingers was funny. My role, I'm going to give you the results I got from the previous step. I'm going to respond to clarifying questions in short answers. Again, you ask me questions, I'll answer them. If I don't know what the answer is, I'll tell you I don't know, and your job is to help me figure out, to walk me through it. Cool? Ultimately, long story short, we want a list of hiring managers. So the instructions are clear laid out. We do not mean HR, we do not mean recruiters. I mean, finding HR recruiters is the easiest thing ever. Instead of typing in the title of the hiring manager, you just type in recruiter and you find all the recruiters. The problem with recruiters is they're responsible for less than a third of hiring decisions being made. Actually, they're not really making hiring decisions, they're influencing hiring decisions. So connecting with people like this, yeah, it's great, it's important, but Yeah, they're super busy. More people connect with recruiters. They're notorious for not getting back to you because they only want to handpick people that they want to talk to, which makes sense. They have access to the same exact thing. If a recruiter is looking for a product manager, they're not sitting there for product managers to message them. They're just conducting their own search with their own specific keywords, and they handpick people that they want in specific locations, and then they just target them directly with a personalized message, curious if this person is in the job market, willing to entertain opportunities at their industry, right? That's what a recruiter does. They're not waiting there they're not waiting there to be contacted. They're proactive networkers. Like what you're learning right now is exactly like I learned it from recruiting. I learned proactive networking. This is headhunting. This is what I did extremely well at finding people exactly that I want. If I want, a product manager with biotech experience in San Diego in a biotech industry, you see, I have 490 results here, too many to go through, so I have to still put more keywords up here and then hand pick who I want to talk to. If I say, okay, Peng Gao, okay, cool. What does Peng do? I go through, I'll take a look at it. I'm like, okay, cool. He's been here for 10 years. Okay, we would love to have a guy like this in our team. My clients would love to have someone with a decade of experience. Let me see how I can connect with them, persuade him, see what his goals and needs and wants are, and then see if he's willing to have an interview with me so I can potentially line him up for a hiring manager interview. That's what a recruiter does, right? That's literally what you're learning. You're just doing the opposite way of it. Instead of recruiters looking for you, you're actually looking for the hiring manager. You want to avoid HR because, like we talked about earlier, HR's job is to eliminate you, is not to qualify or select you. That's where a hiring manager comes in. When a hiring manager looks at someone like Pang, for example, we're just looking for reasons why he would be a good fit for our company. I mean, like, we're just trying to see what is he looking for. Okay, he's working on these antibodies and antigens, supporting diagnostic test kits. Okay, so he's working on the test kit product. Oh, okay, well, that's what we do at our company. Another company could be like, I don't know, Dexcom. They also do testing, what implantable or like wearable medical devices. Recruiters know how to target the right companies at the right people at the right companies. You're learning exactly that. The right people for you are hiring managers. So if you're a product manager, product director would be the target of a decision maker for you. If you're an engineering manager, then the director of engineering, the layer above, like potentially your future boss, that's the right person for you. If you work in R&D, the head of that department. Make sense? So this is just the instructions and examples. So ChatGPT knows exactly what to do. Ultimately, what happens at the end, you're going to get a list of potential decision makers, what their titles are, based on all the information that is derived from your resume. So let's say I did this earlier for one of my customers, Pierce. So we'll pick on Pierce. What a bright guy. Recent graduate, so he has no prior experience. Systems engineer, mechanical engineer. So his first job and the work he's done again as a recent graduate has been more on like kind of like test, right? System testing. He's not a designer. He's too young to be a designer. So when we looked at all this testing and verification, validation, risk analysis work he's done, we ran through the prompts. When the second prompt came out, the hiring manager titles that were selected for Pierce were all related to verification, validation, test, reliability, and also environmental, which was a new one to me. And well, it was the one I didn't even think about, like environmental engineering manager, because a lot of these propulsion systems and stuff that we're targeting with these aerospace companies, it actually the environment makes a lot of impact on the performance of the systems and these engines and like these aircrafts and spacecrafts, right? So there's always going to be teams, departments, or areas of focus, business units that you might not even been aware of or been thinking about. But the AI does an amazing job in finding who those decision maker titles are at the management level, at the director level, relevant to the skill sets and experiences that you have with you bringing to the table. Cool. So again, same idea as before, some bonus coaching value, some rare pieces of advice and things like that. Best smart move to level up your research, what to do, what not to do, reminders. Take everything in the color green all the way up to here. You drop it into the same context window in ChatGPT. You press enter, and it begins to ask you questions. And your goal is to just take the next 5, 10 minutes, respond to its messages, respond to its questions. Anything else, like it would have already gathered from your resume, which you uploaded in prompt number one. With that said, let's hydrate again. Now you have the right person at the right company, very specific to who you are and what you do. We'll just pick at Pierce. Recent graduate, mechanical engineer, got a few internships. Bright kid. He's actually in New Jersey. He wants to work for some of these companies in the LA area, right? So he's making this transition, all that good stuff. We're targeting very specific people at very specific companies. Now we just need the right message. We need to reach out. We need to have an invitation message. So let's say we'll pick at this guy. So let's say this guy is a mechanical engineering manager. We're not connected to him. So we want to reach out. We have to send this invitation message, right? With a personalized note. So what do we say to this message? Sure, you could use this automatic AI thing. It gives you a generic message. It's not good. There's no personalization to it, or definitely not the level of personalization that we're looking for. We're actually looking for building a campaign, like an outreach message sequence. When we feed that information, so let's say we feed Mohammed's information to this prompt, we want to already come up with an invitation, introduction, and our first follow-up. So it's already a well thought out conversation that we want to have, aka the sequence. So again, long story short, being aware of the time we have, you assign the task, you assign a role. Yeah, you're my expert LinkedIn messaging coach. You do X, you do Y, you do Z. My role is to provide this information. Uh, my page is stuck. You guys can still hear me, right? Yeah, okay. Thanks for the thumbs up. Uh, yeah, this page is still stuck. Let me see what's happening. We'll just give it a little bit of time in case it's just slowing down. Let me stop sharing my screen for a second. This might just be Zoom giving us a hard time. There's never a shortage of that. Come on. Okay, let's go back to step number 3. Zoom right in. Cool. So assign it a role. My role is to paste the decision makers' titles and companies. So it already has the information from above. As long as you run it in the same context window, you don't really need to. But just telling it, hey, that's my job. I've already done it, so that's pretty straightforward. I'll provide, one clear quantified achievement from my resume, and you've already updated your resume, so it pulls that information already. Identify one shared topic or pain point you both care about. That's already on your resume. So again, but this is your responsibilities. So if you haven't uploaded your resume above, which you should have, it prompts you. So, wait, what is that? Can you just give me your resume so I can figure that stuff out for you? It'll just it'll just ask you for it. Its responsibility is to ask you again, one question at a time. Who am I messaging? I closed Mohammed's page, but you can basically copy paste answers to these questions from someone's LinkedIn profiles. Oh, this guy's name's Mohammed X, Y, and Z. He works at this company, blah, 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 blah. Uh, this is the information. So one relevant accomplishment from my background. Again, that's going to be pulled from your resume. A shared topic you're both passionate about. Again, you can tell it this, or Let me see if I can open Mohammed's page again. Just like we did before, I'd rather you go to more, save Mohammed's entire LinkedIn profile to a PDF document, and then upload that PDF document to the conversation. So it gives answers not only to these questions, but it provides so much more context around who this Mohammed guy is. Cool. So it's an extra step, couple of more clicks. You need to upload that PDF document. But yeah, you'll immediately realize that your messages are being hyper personalized, and you'll just fall into the habit of doing that. That's about it. That's the task. The output format is three messages as we talked about. The first message is to find a common denominator, something you're both interested in. Either it's around like a shared industry trend or an issue or a specific topic that resonates with them as much as it resonates with you. It's the common denominator between those two, between you two. The introduction highlights an achievement. You must say something positive about yourself. You must sell your skills or celebrate an achievement you've had. You got to bring up that one when that connects you to their world of work. If you're not doing that, it's just you're just not the right vibe, right? You're not confident, you're being needy, you're being too shy, too modest for whatever reason, it's just not good. You need to put your best foot forward when you introduce yourself. When I introduced myself to you, I told you I've been doing this for 15 years. When I told you my Randstad story, my recruiting in this story, I was a risky hire. I was told I was a risky hire. Can you believe this? In 2 years, I had made over $700,000 for the company. I was the number one, and I got 10% commission off of that. My base was 30. I got another $70,000. So I made more than double of my salary in commissions as a recruiter. I made just over 100 grand, top recruiter in Central and Eastern Canada, with among 200 candidates, 200 recruiters, six offices. I tell that, so I know my numbers, I know my achievements, and I'm proud of them. Anytime I get a chance, I'll talk about it because that's how I can position myself as an expert. You should do the exact same thing, whether you're a recent graduate like Pierce, who's got no years of experience, he's got a couple of 3 month internships, or someone with 20 years of experience. You gotta know your wins, you gotta know your accomplishments, you gotta brag about them, you gotta talk about them. So that comes out in the second message. Third message is where you offer value and you ask something, a soft ask, not a direct, not a desperate ask. But you want to offer insights or a resource if you possibly can, and ask if they're seeing relevant opportunities. Like, hey, this is something that's fascinating to me. Are you seeing similar patterns? So asking them to share with you their opinion or their experience, like something that you're both interested in, that shared topic that they will likely be also interested in, that a pattern you've seen and you're asking them if they've also noticed that pattern. Like an example of that is, hey, I'm exploring teams pushing AI into into wearable medical devices. You seeing any opportunities on your radar? Do you see similar patterns? It comes up with great questions. I love this is just a sample, but it's something like that. You're not asking for a job, you're just asking for their experience, their knowledge of similar patterns around that shared topic, around that shared, if it's an issue. Hey, I'm noticing a lot of people are, using AI to write their resumes. Have you noticed the same? It's like, oh yeah, hell yeah, everybody is. Or this trend's coming up. I've noticed that, a lot of these companies are actually doing X, Y, and Z. Have you noticed the same? Oh yeah, we see that too. Yeah. So that's the first three conversations. Message four, message five, now it's a lot more easier for you to pivot to a different conversation, ask a different question. So conversation doesn't end after message number three, but after message number three, you normally hear back from them. You get some sort of an answer. They might ask you a question. So either they pivot the conversation to a different direction, or the conversation becomes neutral, and here's your chance to ask more direct questions, taking you closer to that interview. Hopefully not in message number four, but in message number five. So again, when I coach people, the first three messages they can do, I really get hands-on in message number four and message number five. Some cases, message number six, seven, eight. Conversations, especially higher up the food chain, the conversations keep evolving and growing. You're building rapport, you're building relationships, you're sharing information, you're asking questions, you're gathering information. You create that bond, you gain their trust, you show them that you're not a risky person. You're actually here to offer value. You're genuinely interested in who they are and what they do in their company. That's what a conversation is, in real life. Cool. So again, no hype, no begging. Be authentic, warm, right? These are just instructions that we want to provide to ChatGPT. Ends up with some offering, some good value, and one best way to move forward. Again, which is all laid out in the prompt for you. Cool. So that's about it. That's the fastest I've presented this. I'm glad we're at the top of the hour. I was able to deliver on time. Traditionally, I would read through the entire prompt one, word at a time, explain everything, but I think it's just unnecessary because, you don't really need to read it because it is an interactive prompt. You just copy paste it through, you answer questions it will be asking you, or if you want to read it and comprehend it, really learn something higher level, sit down, understand it. Nothing there is too crazy to understand. And if you have any questions, definitely DM me on LinkedIn. If any of you haven't reached out to me already on LinkedIn, I'll drop my LinkedIn link again in chat. So send me a direct invite to connect. Lots of content I put out there. Doesn't cost a cent. You can gain value from it. I'm very responsive with my DMs. I coach people, or at least guide them as best as I can through my DMs. The career fast track call is a complimentary free coaching session. My goal is to, again, just friendly chat, help you clarify your career goals, discover what's slowing your progress, so like where you're making mistakes, and outline the required next steps to speed up your career transition. Most people are making mistakes and slowing themselves down, not even knowing where the mistakes are. That most common positive feedback I get is, "Oh, thank you so much. You identify so things I wasn't even aware of. I didn't know recruiters look at this thing on my resume and they get pissed off. I didn't know recruiters are looking for this thing on my resume that I've never put on my resume." Things like that. There's a couple of small services. What you just went through is a $300 training session. So you just went through it for free. So don't schedule a call for the job search blueprint. You already gone through it. If someone's looking for just improving their resume, one cover letter, LinkedIn profile, I do offer something basic like half price, extremely affordable comparing to other service providers here. But if you actually want the hands-on, end-to-end, continuous coaching that guarantees the results you want, then that's the job search system. Since you've attended this program, you get $1,000 off. If you want to learn more about it, here's an overview of it. But most importantly, mandatory for you to book a one-on-one call with me. I'm not pitching you on anything here. I've already pitched you enough. If I haven't pitched you enough already today, I did a terrible job. But this is to figure you out, give you a roadmap, go on your way. If you like me and if I like you, because I don't take on anyone, you need to be driven. You need to have your stuff figured out and willing to work hard with me because we're meeting. This is an intensive training program. We meet 3 times a week. Yeah, like it's 3 coaching sessions a week. First 3 weeks, first 21 sessions, we're doing 3 private sessions week number one, 3 private sessions, 3 private sessions week number three. As soon as we go through week number four, it's 1 private session, 2 workshops, continuous without end unless you get hired and beyond, right? So it's a unique program. It's intensive. It's 3 coaching sessions a week. That's why we get these hundreds of success stories you see I posted on my LinkedIn profile. And best deal I can offer is $1,000. Uh, yeah, that's my pitch. If you call that a pitch, that's my pitch. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and I'm yours for as long as we have time. I'm willing to answer questions. Yeah. Oh, the doc. I'm gonna drop the doc right now. Thank you for everyone hanging out. Thanks for the reminder, Ahmad. There's a link to the Google Doc. Uh, Let's see. Where can I get the docker? So we did that. Screen is fine with me. Okay, thank you, Matthew. Why is this screen black? Angela, I think we figured that out. Chat parentheses 605. Can someone just confirm that the screen is okay? Okay, so I think we figured out the screen issue. Could you please let me know where I can access this sheet? So yeah, Himanshu, that I just dropped the link in chat. Could you please let me know? The same message. Will be material shared? Yeah, just dropped it. Irina, thank you. Paul left. So yeah, Paul, if you still hear us, send me a DM and I'll send you the link to the Google Sheet. What else? What else? Another question from Elizabeth. If you're targeting a different state, should you change your location? I'm assuming you're talking about the location on your LinkedIn profile, right? If that's the case, then yes. You want to match the location of your LinkedIn profile or the location, the name you have on your resume to the exact name that appears on a job description or your primary location that you're targeting. Uh, Shashank says, what's the common mistakes job seekers make? I don't know, 1,000 of them. I shared a few with you today. Specify your question a bit more. That's such a, this is such a big answer I can give that. We can do a whole presentation on that. What if I want to pick an industry that I have no previous industry experience with? How do I get hired in that given my experience is irrelevant? Great question. So I do this a lot. So often you hire a career coach to go through a challenge or an obstacle like this. This general strategy for everyone going through a pivot like this is to transition your branding, your content. So the content of your resume, content of your LinkedIn profile, your branding and the story that comes out of your mouth, whatever you talk about, however you talk about yourself in an interview, you want to transition away from your experiences of the past, and focus on the skill sets you have today. So this is where the whole conversation around transferable skills becomes dominant. So we all have past experiences. We learn lessons from them. We acquire new skills and new capabilities, and now we leverage those capabilities to land new jobs. I studied electronics engineering, got my first job in telecommunications, totally different. Went to IT sales, totally different. Transitioned to recruitment, totally different. There were transferable skills and knowledges. Then I got into coaching, totally different. So I've had 5 career pivots. The average person you look at, they've had many career pivots. So to do it more effectively, you want to stop leaning on your past experiences and like get planted, like bend your knees, get planted in your present and your in your present skill sets, and find jobs and opportunities in that new industry that your skill sets are the solution to the problems they have. That's the alignment you need to make. So that's the first step I was telling you. You could be going after the right companies, but if your messaging, if your story, if your goals are not crystal clear, then you're not getting into those conversations. You're not getting into those interviews. And if you land the interviews, you're not able to convince the person why your past experiences is in alignment. Because it's not about the experiences. You never get paid because you worked at a great company in the past. You get paid for the skill sets you have acquired from those experiences. More specifically, you get paid for your ability to solve problems with the skill sets that you have. That's how value is created. How do I offer value? What is value? Is your ability to solve a problem and get a successful result. Get a result that is expected by your employer. If you get that result, they get paid for it. They pay for the value you create for them. Uh, Carissa says, what if I'm under NDA at my last company for 8 years? So I do not have a portfolio in my previous work that I'm able to. Yes, a third of my clients are in like DoD contractors. Uh, there's no quick answer to this. I gotta know what you can share. Yeah, you can't share like design blueprints and stuff, but you gotta be able to tell a story. Yeah, the story might be vague, but your ability to tell a story allows you to paint a better picture. And remember, if you're a DoD contractor, you're talking to another DoD contractor, you're not gonna have a problem because they understand where you're coming from and the constraints uh, along the work that you do. But if you're a DoD contractor now, you're used to design, let's say, camera systems, optics for the F-35. That's like one of my previous clients, Amanda. So Amanda left Lockheed when she was working on the F-35 Lightning, went to like renewable energy. Yeah, that was a problem, but you got to be able to confidently and clearly and confidently explain that for obvious reasons, I couldn't show you a portfolio or give you details, but I can tell you that it was part of the optic systems for the airplane. Something like that. Again, that becomes a very, very detailed conversation, but there's no issues around that. Himanshu says, how can we make a comeback after a long career gap? Uh, I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is a long career gap? What is a comeback? Clarify that question for me. Uh, I wanted to say something funny, like put on your shield, grab your sword, and come back like you've never came back before. Like with confidence, with clarity. Like if you don't have clear goals, going back to step number one, step zero. If you don't know what you're coming back to, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you can come back, but like if you tell me how can I come from this, it's been 2 years, I haven't been in job market for 2 years. I want to know, I want to get this job at this company doing X. Like it needs to be crystal clear. You have to have a crystal clear goal. That's where I want to go. This is where I am. Crystal clear, this is where I am. Crystal clear, this is where I've come from. Now I need a roadmap. Like if you don't know those three things, there's no way you can paint a roadmap to that. So again, this is where career coach, like that's the conversation I like to have with you in our career fast track call. Like I need to sit down 20 minutes, 30 minutes and ask you a bunch of questions and figure that out. I couldn't tell you that. You're asking the right question, but I couldn't answer that right now. Okay, how can possibly get wrong in what can possibly get wrong in a resume for an interview? Shashank, the man with the high level questions. Uh, a lot of things you can get wrong. And I have to see your resume. So book a fast track call with me. Send me your resume, and then I'll butcher your resume in front of you for you to see what's wrong with your resume. So it just doesn't matter what the average person gets wrong. The only thing that matters is that what you have got wrong, what you have gone wrong on your resume. Book a career fast track call with me. Hmm. How to respond to questions about gaps in resume or travel or family. So Matthew, I know you're a recent grad. The best answer is the right answer. The best answer is the truth because it's you never want to lie and you never want to bend the truth. Answering questions like that, it's a behavioral. It turns immediately turns into a behavioral interview because by answering that, you're showing a part of your behavior. You're either coming across as someone who's fearless and trustworthy with integrity, or the other side of the spectrum. I don't want to tell you, but like, what's the opposite of someone who lacks integrity is not trustworthy and is a liar? It's either of those. I'd rather hire a trustworthy person with integrity who's willing to tell the truth under tough circumstances and teach him and train him what to do, versus have to deal with a liar who would, you know what I mean? So the right answer is the correct answer. Different people go through different cases, different phases of life. What the answer comes out of your mouth needs to be understood, needs to be felt here, rather than, oh, this guy decided to go to Thailand for 3 months and then ended up island hopping. He's like, oh, what a loser. Like nobody would ever think that. The only person thinking that, if anyone is you, because you're self-conscious, you have that negative self-talk dominating your mind. But no matter what you say, it could be island hopping in Thailand or taking care of an elderly parent or I had long COVID for 2 years. Whatever the answer is, nobody would, if you answer it with genuine integrity and honesty, nobody would react negatively to that. It's especially because, most especially because it's such a rare thing for someone to sit down and be vulnerable with you and tell you the honest truth. You show me trust, I'll give you trust back. That's reciprocity, right? You try to play games with me, dude, get out of here. we'll call you back. You know, so you want to demonstrate your personality, your genuine integrity at that point. Again, something like that. That's a question that I know it bothers everyone who's going through it. Book a fast track call with me. Like at least I need to understand what do you mean by travel slash family? Like how have you answered that question in the past? You know, is it travel? Like what do you mean travel? What's wrong with travel? How long did you travel? Like are you kind of like Marco Polo kind of travel or did you take a few weeks off? Like how big is the gap? Like there's so many questions I have for you. Book a fast track call. What is the fastest period of time in today's job market to land a job offer for ML engineers? For an ML engineer, I don't know. What did you say? Fastest? What is the fastest? I don't know. A day? We just looked at Illumina handing out 30 job offers a day. I've hired people over the weekend. I've coached people to get a job from where they are to the next job in 8 days. Uh, I don't know. Like, if you look at national average for all jobs, it's 6 to 8 months, which I don't believe it's actually higher than that. My average going through this three-pronged, highly proactive approach is 2, 3 months. But for an ML engineer, you should be landing interviews with the right approach regularly, like 1, 2 interviews a week. Depends on your strategy, depends on your targeting, your branding, your storytelling, your targeting, your interview performance. You know, it's three main phases. Uh, Albert, stop me whenever you had to go. I'm just reading through these messages. When
You're
outreaching
good.
to a target,
You got like, 20 more minutes if you want it.
okay, cool. Just going through this. So, Jacob, when outreaching to a target hiring manager, do you favor doing it through a cold DM, or is it better to approach and start engaging with them? The public posts, establish mutual interest. Excellent question. So, the three-pronged approach that I mentioned a couple of times today with applications. So, you submit an application online if they have a job that matches you. Second approach, second prong is to engage with their content, company's content, person's content. Step number three is to reach out. You know, so we talked about the reach out, the one that we didn't talk about through liking and commenting, reposting that person's content, that company's content. That's another prong. That's another leg to that table. And if there's an application that's being sent to you directly or you see something online, that's the third piece of the puzzle, you know? The outreach has a two-pronged approach anyways. You have hiring managers, you have influencers who are recruiters. So altogether is like four different ways you can persuade them, influence them to interview you over someone else. Nick says if you find a hiring manager for a job already posted online, do you apply to it as before or after messaging them? Uh, Excellent question. You know, so if you see a job already publicly advertised, I'm going to tell you exactly what I say all the time without sugarcoating it. You're already late. Like that job was not created. If a job was posted today or yesterday, it wasn't created today or yesterday. That job was created, like that vacancy became available weeks ago, right? So they get to a point that they've gone through exploring their internal mobility options, they've gone through referrals, there's multiple different hiring programs they have to go through, hiring strategies. None of them has worked, or none of them have worked fast enough. They're desperate enough to publicly advertise that role. So if the job hits an online job board, because you're already too late for it, immediately attend to it. Like apply right away. Do not waste any time. Like, don't go to sleep tonight, apply to that job. Wake up earlier, apply to that job. Skip lunch, apply to that job, then reach out, then engage. Engagement is not time consuming. Take 10 minutes, find their post, comment on that person's page. If they have content on LinkedIn, go to that company's posts on LinkedIn, on their LinkedIn page, comment, show support, demonstrate that you're a fan, tell them congratulations, all love and happiness and support, and then reach out personalized invitation, personalized introduction, personalized follow-up. After the first follow-up, you follow up once a week for another 3 weeks at least. You know? Awesome question, Nick. Uh, uh, Srishti, some recruiters say you should have 5+ or whatever experience in the same skill set, such as data engineering, but I have had some experience in DevOps too. How do I convince the recruiter hiring manager about the number of years of experience? Uh, you gotta change your perspective. So again, you're misunderstanding what they mean by experience. So first of all, personally, I tell all my clients we don't read the qualification section. Qualification is at the bottom of every job description for a reason. It's the least important thing. First, you have description of the company, description of like about us, about company, about department, then about the job, short description of what the job is, what is the mission of the person in this role. Then you have a long list of bullet points and responsibilities. Last important piece. Then you have qualifications. I don't even read qualifications. I tell everybody, don't read qualifications. You're just gonna go crazy because they're gonna ask for like 1,000 things, and X number of experience is this, X number of experience is this. It's just a guess of for someone to be successful in this role, we think that person is gonna have somewhere around 5 years or more experiences. But you're not getting paid for experiences. When you go to interviews, they're not they're not counting the number of years of experience. Oh, you have six? Oh, sorry, man. We interviewed someone yesterday who had 7 years. Can't hire you because seven is more than six. That's not how decisions are made. You're not getting paid based on a number of years of experience. You're getting paid based on your capability to solve a problem. Now, you could have been an average data engineer who learned his or her lesson in 5 years, and you can do the job, and you demonstrate to them through conversations, connections, conversations, presentations that you got the skill sets, you understand what the problem is, and you know how to solve it. You could have had 10 years of experience, or you're just a shitty engineer and you just never learned your lesson, or you're just too arrogant to sit down and explain, or you just been doing things with an eye closed. You don't even know why you're doing it. You're doing it just copy pasting your stuff. Or you could have been a genius engineer with 2.5 years of experience crushing those problems. So it depends. Depends. I know 17-year-olds who are making $1 million, 17, 18-year-old engineers. I mean, look at these $100 million job offers. Like, is that engineer really worth $100 million? Why? Because they have 100 million or they have like 200 years of experience, No, you're like nothing, like your salary, nothing is in correlation with the number of years of experience you have. That is such a common understanding. I used to be one of those people. I don't work as an engineer today for many reasons. Misunderstanding the expectations of an employer, not knowing how hiring is done is one of the reasons I failed in my engineering career. But then I learned it as a recruiter. I'm like, what? Doesn't it matter how many years of experience they have? Then like, what the hell, It's like, I wish I knew this. But it sucks. That's why I love doing these presentations. Like, don't even read qualifications. All that's gonna give you is a headache and self-doubt. Because they're like, you should have a bachelor's or a master's or a PhD or none of them. It's like, what the hell? So I could be a high school grad and do this job. Then why are you asking for a PhD? Why are you saying PhD is preferred? Like, wouldn't you just hire a PhD? It's confusing. I hate job descriptions. Blake, would you put taking care of elderly on your LinkedIn? This story, like, I love that. Yeah, like, do you know how many positive traits come out of someone who has taken care of elderly for an X amount of time? Like, I can make a list of positive traits, like how much of a better version of yourself you are after you're done with that task. Hopefully, you're still with us, like whatever the story is, but like, what's the story? You know, it's not just saying career transition, taking care of elderly. I have seen that literally. It's like, okay, I'm sorry, but like, what did you learn from that experience? How are you a better version of yourself today than you were 11 months ago when you had to quit your job? I have a client right now with his wife going through chemo. You know, I know that story. That's part of his story. When he talk about it, like, it's just it is what it is. It's the story you tell. You got to tell that story and the lessons you learned from that story. And how does that make you a stronger candidate? How does that make you better than someone else who's also interviewing for the same job? Jane, is it true that most recruiters use ATS instead of hand? picking and 5 second scan. The 5 second scan is absolutely true. I briefly talked about it today. Uh, Sometimes that 5 second is average. So, I don't need to take a look at the resume for 5 seconds to eliminate it. Sometimes you just look at it, you're like, holy shit. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, get this thing away from me, you know? So it's never it doesn't have to be 5 seconds. Sometimes it's the first impression. Sometimes it's 2 seconds. Sometimes it's 3 seconds. But yeah, it averages out based on the recent reports like 6 or 8 seconds or something like that. And yeah, I mean, every company has a database, has a CRM, like a customer relationship management database or applicant track system database. LinkedIn is the world's biggest applicant tracking system. It's the world's over a billion profiles, over a billion users, number one platform for hiring. So yeah, every company uses uh, LinkedIn. Okay, Angela, how do you tell your resumes for work history, dropping off to taking care of an elderly parent or helping a family member with illness? Can you put down caregiver project, coordinator to manage several schedules, doctor meetings, healthcare? Is that something you think can be spun into something constructive? Absolutely. So again, I'd love to have this conversation with you. So book that career fast track call. Like we can this is the task that can be done in like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. uh, I have to again, it's just as important, or if not more important than what you did, is what you learned from that experience, is how that has made you a better version of yourself. Did you grow from it, or is your soul shattered today and you cry every day after work? Like which one, just being honest with you. uh, I empathize with you. I haven't had that personal experience myself. I was away when my dad had an accident and had a spinal surgery. I'm far away from. I didn't even go to see him, but he's back on his feet and it's fine, But yeah, I understand where my mom actually fell in the same hospital and broke her arm. How crazy is that? Like, the night he had his surgery, she falls, she falls off the chair. She's sitting down beside my dad, broke her arm, and or her arm was in a like it's crazy. Like, but again, I can't tell you, but like where my sister had to go from Vancouver to Toronto, and then my brother doesn't want to participate in our family, but like, if I had my brother there, that would be really helpful too. But like the things that happen, so again, I'm trying to coordinate and be supportive from thousands of miles away. You know what I mean? Like, it depends. The way you tell a story, what the story is, and what do you learn from that experience, that matters in the context you're having that conversation with. And if the gap is really a lot, then no matter really what you put on your resume, sending it to that recruiter, even if it's the right recruiter at the right company, you're probably gonna fail the 5 second rule. You know, that's where networking becomes important. That's where LinkedIn becomes dominant. That's where conversations are king. That's where people are the path. People who listen to your story, genuinely talking about the experience you had and how grateful you are, how blessed you are to have that person to care for, how grateful you are that you did take the 11 months off or the 3 years off. Like, that's how people feel you, that are willing to work with someone like you, bringing you for an interview or a job offer because they respect you. They get to know you, they like you, they trust you, they respect you. We talked about this last time. There's 4 stages that people need to go through, employers, to hire you: know, like, trust, respect. If they don't do any of that stuff, if they know you and like you, but they don't trust you, you're not getting an offer. You'll get disqualified in third interview. If they know you, like you, and trust you, but you're just an arrogant piece of shit and they don't respect you, you're not getting the job offer. You know what I mean? So again, it's not that I rather, it's best that you focus on creating that human to human connection. So my line, people are the path, is exactly that. People are the path to overcoming the challenge it is that you believe you have. So Angela, I know you have more explanations here, but let's take this conversation one on one. Uh, Shane says recommendations for winning contracts, same tactics. Yeah, same contract. Contracts, you just follow up more, reach out to more people. Contracts are being signed like that. They're a lot more transactional. So it's right down to the problem they have and how fast and how well can you solve it for them. Just be a lot more responsive and proactive with contractors and recruiters who do contracting. Okay, last but not least, Apeksha says, as a recent graduate, am I limiting my options if I'm looking for one specific role? I get opposing advice on sticking to one role while searching. I did say, yeah, one role. Well, definitely one industry. That's what I was saying earlier. One clear industry. I don't know what you do or which industry you're in or what role that is. But yeah, the definition of focus is to target one thing. As soon as you don't want to be like, I want this or that, and hey, if that doesn't work, I'm willing to do this. Like that is looked at so negatively from an employer's point of view. First of all, it's clear you're not dedicated to your trade. Like, so I'm on the side of, yeah, one industry, one realm, one field, one role. I just graduated. I know I'm not going to get a designer job or an engineer job, assuming you're an engineer. Likely, you're going to start towards the end of a product's development lifecycle. So you're going to start in test, in verification, validation, quality control. Like you're going to push paper a little bit. You're going to do testing, analysis, and stuff. Then you work your way back to, let's say, production operations, manufacturing. Then you're going to go into like, okay, I'm going to go into like engineering and design, and then okay, I'm gonna go to research and then prototyping and proof of concept. And you know what I mean? So you gotta be realistic, looking at the industry you're in and the product or the service or solution you're targeting. What is the life cycle of that solution? What is the life cycle of the product? You're likely gonna start your career as a recent graduate towards the end of the life cycle of that product. So have that clearly mapped out. When you tell people what you want to do, you can tell them with clear purpose and confidence that I want to be a test engineer because this is my first job. Most of what I did in school was about analysis anyways. I know a couple of these tools. I know a little bit of Python, and I want to learn that product thoroughly through test and quality assurance, then work my way towards production of it, and then engineering of it, and then the design of it, and then the research of it. So that's my 1 to 5 year plan. Everything's meticulously thought out. You know what I mean? So people respect you. They're like, oh wow, like she, like they have it all figured out. And they believe you. Again, goes back to they trust you more, they like you and trust you more because you have a crystal clear goal. It kind of like if you want to summit a mountain, you look at the peak of the mountain, that's my goal. That's where I want to get. Not like, well, if I don't get there, I'm willing to go to this next mountain. It's like, no. Like, what's your goal? What's your path? You might have to zigzag a little bit, but the goal doesn't change. That's how people trust you. Otherwise, it's challenging. Cool. So again, with that said, I know you guys have another session. I'll drop the link to the document here one more time. I'll drop the link to my LinkedIn. I'll drop the link to whatchamacallit, the career fast track, my calendar. The fast track call is right up on there as well. Again, free complimentary. Some of the conversations today, questions are sensitive, they're personal, and I need to ask you a handful of questions before I can give you a genuine answer that I would rely on. So thank you again for everyone.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much again, Nader, for all of your guidance. I'm so glad people are saying this is great, this is helpful and inspiring. That's what we aim to accomplish on every single webinar that we do. And so, yeah, I want to thank you all also for coming. We'll have a recording ready for you hopefully by tonight. If not tonight, then tomorrow. And you also know how to reach out to Nodder. We've also got a web. We also have like many other webinars coming up too. So check those out. If you're looking to also start a side hustle with AI while you look for a job, now is also the time to start on that. So take a break for 25 minutes, come back, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great night, everybody, and best of luck in your job search. See y'all. Bye.
Likewise. Cheers, everyone. Thanks, Albert.